Could
Beware, mortals. You're entering the eerie depths of Chokeslam Radio, where expert insider WWE knowledge and secrets are unleashed with thunderous power.
Rest in peace.
Coming to you live straight from the heart of Death Valley. Here are your mysterious hosts, DRW15 and DJ Big Unknown.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Chokeslam Radio. My name is DJ Big Unknown.
And I'm DRW15. Big week this week. Thank you guys for tuning in to this special episode of Chokeslam Radio as we get ready for WrestleMania, probably the biggest weekend of the year. We've got a lot to cover, and we're very excited to get into it.
Yeah, obviously it's a very big week, so I had to be here. I was kind of surprised that I saw that you did a show without me a couple weeks ago, which I mean is okay. I don't know if this is the best time to bring it up, but you know, as a co-host, I think, you know, it would have been nice if you let me know. Obviously, thank you to El Grande Americano what's his name?
El Grande, El Unknown.
Yeah.
Grande. Yeah.
Obviously, thanks for him covering. He seemed like, you know, he knew his stuff, but I know I told you I needed to take a wellness break after what happened to Jimmy Uso, but you know, it would have been nice for me to know ahead of time that was going to happen.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, stuff happens. It was kind of a last minute thing, and with all of the sort of tensions between the US and the other countries, I didn't want to piss off a luchador. He approached me and, you know, he wanted to tell his story, and I thought our stream would be a good platform for him to do that. But, you know, as a co-host, I do have to be better about communicating that stuff with you because, you know, we had El Unknown Grande, but no DJ Big Unknown. And that's, you know, that's kind of a staple of Chokeslam Radio. So we may or may not see him again, but if we do, we'll definitely let everyone know beforehand, so no one, including one of the co-hosts, is surprised by the appearance of, you know, a special guest like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for saying that, and I'm glad, you know, we can get on the same page about this. But anyway, you know, this is pretty much like the biggest week of the year for the WWE universe and the Chokeslam universe, which is why I'm a little upset the TikTok stream isn't working again, by the way.
Yeah.
But, you know, I have the intern working on it right now.
Good. Yeah. The intern was having a lot of issues last stream too when El Unknown Grande was there. You know, we've talked about getting a new intern, but, you know, they're an intern and we're hoping that week after week they're learning from their mistakes. But, you know, sometimes these technical difficulties get the best of them, and that's okay. But hopefully we get at least some listeners tuning in from X and YouTube.
Yeah. Well, we have a big show planned for today. Obviously, we're going to go over all our picks for WrestleMania, but we also have some, you know, as always, we have our breaking news or scoops, a lot of people like to say, because we have some, you know, inside sources that don't really get the kind of information we get. And excited to share that with you all today.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot to cover this week. Obviously, if you're watching this, I'm sure you already know all the matches that are happening, but you know, it's our job to cover those and give you guys some of the behind the scenes looks as well. So you guys are getting a little sneak peek ahead of WrestleMania into some things you might not know before these matches.
Right. Yeah, well, so let's cover I guess what happened the last couple of weeks, we had a pretty good episode of Raw last night in Sacramento. Actually, pretty cool
Yep.
for them to go to that show on such a big night. But I do kind of get the feeling that there's not a whole lot of hype going into this WrestleMania compared to last year, where you had The Rock and Roman Reigns on like every show leading up to it, and you never knew what was going to happen, and it was pretty crazy. And I don't know, this year the buildup has kind of been kind of slow, but maybe we'll get a big payoff for the actual show. That doesn't mean the actual WrestleMania is going to be bad, but it's just, I don't know. How do you feel about the shows these past couple weeks?
Yeah, no, I agree. The main event for the first night is the CM Punk versus Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins fight. I think that'll be a good one. We've been seeing a lot of all of them. I think they've done a good job of building up to it, and all the stuff going on with the wise man too. So, if Roman's involved in a match, it's going to be a banger. We know that. So that's the one match I think they've done a really good job of building up on. The whole John Cena versus Cody Rhodes thing. Yeah. Like The Rock has been kind of involved, but not really. We don't even really know all the details behind this match, like what's going to happen, what the rules are. So, I know last year the big match of Cody versus Roman we knew was Bloodline rules, and that was exciting. So we didn't know who was going to show up. But this year, we've got one show left, and I still don't really know all the details behind this Cody Rhodes fight. And they're not even on every show. So, hopefully Friday we get some more clarity, and then they still drop a banger on Sunday. But
yeah, so I've been doing a lot of AI deep research on WrestleMania, and I have a recorded video, but I didn't have a chance to approve that, and also I don't really want to like leak those conversations with the AI without some kind of approval. But basically, through my research, I discovered there could be a whole lot more than this just being wrestling. The whole thing, we kind of touched on it a couple of weeks ago, and I'm trying to be very careful with what I say here.
Definitely.
But the whole thing with Cody selling his soul, John Cena selling his soul, doing the sage ritual in the ring with The Rock and Travis Scott. Obviously, these kind of things don't have anything to do with the actual wrestling match. There's something darker going on here. And then if you look at the way the calendar is lined up, this WrestleMania is falling on, especially the main event is going to be on Easter Sunday, which is a day of religious importance. So that kind of adds to what's good, Gino and Joseph. How's it going? That kind of adds to the mystery of why would they choose to have WrestleMania on that day, and then also they're doing it in Sin City, Vegas. It's just kind of interesting how everything's lining up.
Yeah. No, definitely. And it's on 420, which is a day where there's a lot of smoke. You're supposed to smoke the devil's lettuce on 420. And yeah, obviously it's Easter. And Triple H knows what he's doing, and The Rock knows what he's doing. They could have scheduled it on any weekend in any place in the US. So these are a lot of decisions that were planned out ahead of time. And yeah, as DJ Big Unknown said, some things are bigger than wrestling, and it definitely seems like there's a lot going on behind the scenes, maybe even supernaturally, that we don't fully know about, but they're giving us a lot of hints about what's going on.
Exactly. We have one of our viewers saying, I want Cena to win, but they're probably going to make Cody win because of the family legacy, and that's probably what the WWE wants for the script. Yeah, and I think it's interesting you use that word script because, you know, The Rock is at the top of all this. He is the final boss, and at the end of the day, it's kind of his decision what happens. You know, Cody can try to fight against him all he wants, but at the end of the day, The Rock's got something up his sleeve, man.
Mm-hmm. He always does, and even in the last matches that we saw The Rock in, he was constantly like cursing and yelling at the refs and all this nonsense. So if you think he's not tampering with this match beforehand, you know, you're a fool. That's all I'll say, because even though he's a little bit MIA, you know, he's working everything. He wouldn't have gone out and tried to get Cody to sell his soul if, you know, he wasn't heavily involved in this. And then to be embarrassed like that and have John Cena beat up Cody, you know, there's a lot going on here. And if anyone's got the script and is, you know, throwing a wrench into things, it's going to be the final boss.
Yeah, so the thing that is tipping me off that there's something off here is that John Cena's whole thing for why he's become a bad guy and wants to fight Cody, his whole reasoning for that is because he wants to destroy wrestling. He wants to destroy the WWE. He wants to take that title that he wins and leave the company with it, which doesn't make sense if he's partnering with The Rock. The Rock is a board member on TKO. Why would The Rock want his own company that he has so much money invested in to be destroyed? There's something here that is not adding up.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense that, you know, The Rock would team up with someone who wants to destroy the company. And I know John Cena, you know, maybe he's trying to just get the crowd involved a little bit as well by saying stuff like that. But that's definitely not his final goal, to destroy the WWE, you know, the company that made him, basically.
Mm-hmm. Right. I also kind of think that maybe, let's say he is trying to destroy the company. I know The Rock is also invested in another sports organization, the XFL.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he's kind of trying to use his power in TKO to kind of destroy that company. So then the XFL can get more viewers and he can get more money. But at the same time, The Rock doesn't really need more money. He's got all the money he could ever want. So I don't think this is about the money. This is about something greater.
Yeah. No, The Rock has plenty of products and brand deals and stuff like that. If he wanted money, he would, you know, just make another energy drink or something like that. You know, I think this is something about power and even maybe something with the supernatural that's going on here. So yeah, we'll see after Sunday. I think a lot of people's eyes will be opened about what's really going on with The Rock, but I don't think a ton of people fully realize, you know, the significance of everything that's happening.
Right. Well, we're going to give our expert opinions and our predictions on who's going to win all these matches later on in the show. So we'll definitely get back to this topic. But before we get there, I wanted to, what's up, Hendrik? Welcome back to the show. You know, one of our biggest fans of the show. Welcome back. Definitely picked a good show to return for.
Mm-hmm.
We're calling this show Chokeslam Mania, as this is WrestleMania week. But I wanted to, before we get into like all the big topics, I wanted to get your thought on this new luchador, Penta's brother. What's his name? Ray Phoenix. We have another luchador named Ray.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I like him. He's a good fighter. He's entertaining. But as we've kind of touched on, I know you weren't here last episode, but as I was talking with El Unknown Grande, sorry to bring him into this, but he is another luchador as well. And even he was kind of saying, you know, we're getting a lot of luchadors in the WWE, and you know, at what point do we draw the line, and does it become too many? It's pretty exciting to see, you know, a brother combo of luchadors in the WWE, but we've already got the LWO with Ray and Dragon Lee, and now we have another Ray luchador in the WWE. So it's just a lot. Luchadors are fun to watch, and they're always high flying and pulling out crazy stunts, but you know, you don't want every single match to be a luchador match. And it's going to be expensive to keep getting these guys over here with the new tariffs and all of those going on.
Yeah.
So maybe
that kind of makes sense why they're all joining now before those kind of kick in.
Yeah. I guess that's a smart move on the WWE's part to get those guys in before the prices go up. But yeah, at the same time, you know, Rey Mysterio is the GOAT luchador, and all these guys are fun to watch, but there's just a lot of them nowadays.
Yeah. So Hendrick is asking, isn't Penta going versus the one Mysterio soon? Yeah, so Penta is going to be fighting Dominic Mysterio, Dirty Dom, and he's also going to be fighting Finn Balor and Braun Breaker. So that's actually, I think that's a sleeper match right there. I think that's going to be one of the biggest matches this WrestleMania. And we'll go into our predictions later, but I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, no doubt. That's a good one. And then we have Rey Mysterio versus El Americano Grande. Another big luchador match.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that's a good amount of luchadors in WrestleMania. We've got 3 right there. So those matches will both be very exciting. I'm excited to tune into both of those.
Yeah, it looks like we have a comment from a viewer. A message for you, DRW15.
Hey, Ezek. I see you went to the J Balvin concert past Sunday night, Azul song. That's very exciting, and I hope you had a great time. And I'm glad you're getting your concerts out of the way before WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's smart.
You got to be locked in this weekend. So, congrats on the concert. I don't know what all those words mean, but it sounds like you had a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And, you know, there's supposed to be a concert at WrestleMania. They're saying Travis Scott is going to be there again, but I don't know. Last time he was there, he didn't do a concert. He was just throwing punches. So I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah.
Isaac, my favorite J Balvin song is probably Azul song. That's my favorite for sure.
Doesn't he have a song? He has a song with Bad Bunny, I think. Something like that. I recognize that name. I'm not, I'm a WWE expert. I'm not really like a music expert here, but I am a DJ though. So
true.
I am a music expert. Never mind. Anyways, before we get into all the WrestleMania matches that are happening, I want to get this one match out of the way that's not happening anymore, and that is Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton. Yeah. I wanted to talk about this because I was shocked about what happened on SmackDown a couple weeks ago. So Kevin Owens comes out there with an announcement, and he says that he has a broken neck, apparently, and he's trying to like get us to feel bad for him or something, even though he literally has been a menace to the entire WWE roster. Literally tried to break Cody's neck, tried to break Randy Orton's neck, and now that he got his neck broken, now we're supposed to feel bad for him. So, I think he deserves it. I think that, it's about time, and, that's karma for you. When you go around try to break other people's necks and then you break yours, I mean, that's just karma.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think he's a little bit lucky, because if he had gone into that match against Randy, I think Randy's been getting ready to bring out that punt for a while, and instead of this injury that might keep him out a little while, he might have ended his whole career. So I think in some regards, Kevin Owens has been making a lot of enemies. He's been attacking people backstage, and then he's been in all these crazy chairs and ladder matches. So when you make enemies like that, and then you get in all these crazy matches and try to throw people off of ladders and through tables and stuff, sometimes stuff like that's going to happen. And as I was saying, he's lucky that the doctors found it now and not at WrestleMania, because he might have never been able to leave that ring if he had gone into that match with Randy.
Yeah, part of me thinks that he might be kind of lying and trying to BS his way out of this match, because if I was scheduled to have a one-on-one match with Randy Orton, I would be saying my neck's broken too. I'd be like, oh, I can't fight, because he said he broke it a couple months ago, which means that it was broken while he did the ladder match with Cody and then that crazy match with Sami Zayn. That means it was supposedly broken during those matches. And now he has like this big WrestleMania match coming up, and all of a sudden now he can't fight even after doing all that stuff. I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I don't know. He probably went to some doctor and paid him off, because why did he randomly, get diagnosed with a broken back, and how did they know that it was broken for 2 months? You can't look at a bone and be like, oh, you broke this 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Like if it's already healing, then he should be able to fight. But if it was broken 2 months ago, how did they only catch it now, and how was he still able to do all those matches? So it's a lot of fishy stuff going on. And I do think you're right that, if I was in a one-on-one match against Randy, the guy who Randy's been a legend in the game for a long time. His nickname was the Legend Killer, and Kevin hurt him and kept him out of the WWE for a couple months. Randy's coming back angry and pissed off, and I wouldn't want to be in a singles match with him either. Like he can have his matches against Sami Zayn and Cody, but the Legend Killer Randy Orton's a different beast.
Right. We got a question from Gino and Joseph. What's your guys' top one all-time favorite WWE move?
Top one.
For me, I'm definitely gonna say, I gotta say the Chokeslam, since that's our show.
Yeah.
But if we're going for like new modern moves, I really like Logan Paul's new move, the pulverizer or whatever it's called. I think that's a scary move right there.
Yeah, I think I would go no particular order, but the best wrestling moves of all time are probably the Tombstone, the RKO, and the Pulverizer. And I'm not saying those are 3, 2, 1. I'm not giving an order, but those are 3 moves that if you get hit with those, you're that's 1, 2, 3. The match is over. So, we were robbed of seeing the RKO as of right now at WrestleMania. Randy's still trying to work out a match. You never know when the Undertaker's going to show up, but if he's going to show up, it's going to be at WrestleMania. And then, I have a feeling we're going to see AJ Styles hit with the Pulverizer, and I'm not giving my prediction for that match yet, but all I'm saying is if he gets hit with that move, the match is over. So we have a chance of seeing all 3 moves at WrestleMania, which is pretty exciting.
Another move I kind of like that was just brought back was the diving headbutt. El Grande Americano's been doing that one, and I think that's pretty cool. He's bringing that move back.
Who did that one originally? Can you remind me?
Yeah, I think it was, a guy back in the older wrestling days who, made a big mistake and ended up, losing his life. And it's not really a guy that we want to be talking about on this show.
No.
But yeah. Isaac says, "Hey DJ Big Unknown, your favorite J Balvin song is called Azul." You you do it, J Balvin move. Okay. I'm definitely gonna have to look up that song and add that to my DJ playlist. Azul, cool.
I'm looking him up right now. He actually has a song in WWE 2K25.
That's who I knew him from.
Oble XXO.
That's awesome.
So, this guy's a legend, and I'm glad you were getting ready for WrestleMania by going to his concert, Isaac. So, hats off to him.
Yeah. Well, is there any other, current topics you want to go over before we get into our predictions?
No. I mean, I think that, all of this has been building up for a while, and the best way to cover all of the news is to just go fight for fight. We could also talk about the betting odds a little bit. I don't know if we want to talk about those during or after our predictions, but those, I know we looked at those a little bit a while ago, and they're definitely interesting, to say the least. And because this WrestleMania is in Vegas, I think a lot of people are going to be betting on these matches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we should definitely go over it while we make our predictions.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have some, graphics ready for each. Here we go. Okay. So I have each match ready. So first one to go over. Oh, how does this work?
There you go.
All right. Yeah. So this first match we have here, this is in no particular order. I'm still not sure the exact order on what these matches are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But we have Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. So this new up and coming luchador against the GOAT luchador.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a classic.
Yeah, and with these matches, they're interesting because, both these guys have squads behind them, and we've seen these feuds have been building up these past weeks. Ray's got the LWO, and then a Grande Americano's got his American boys behind him. So this match is going to be a banger. I got to go with my guy Rey Mysterio, though. He's a longtime legend, and if he's going to beat anyone, it's going to be another luchador.
Mm-hmm.
I think he took offense to Adam Pearce saying that, he's not necessarily the GOAT luchador, and that there's others that are just as good or better than him. And I think he's taken that personal, and I think he's gonna take it to El Grande Americano at WrestleMania, and maybe even take off his mask.
Right. I'm obviously going to say Rey Mysterio too. I mean, he's the GOAT for a reason, but I'm not that confident. Like I am going to pick him, but Rey Mysterio, he's kind of an old school guy. And when he goes up against these newer, younger wrestlers like Logan Paul, for example, Logan Paul was able to, not because he's more talented, but he was able to outsmart him because he knows all the new tactics and new strategies that, these old school wrestlers, like for example, Rey Mysterio says he doesn't drink Prime. I think that's just kind of that old school mentality where, you don't need these electrolyte benefits. And I think that's kind of holds him back. So I think that El Grande Americano could get the win here, but I am picking Rey Mysterio.
Yeah. Well, you brought up a good point earlier that El Grande Americano, he's a new wrestler. I bet he drinks Prime because, there's a red, white, and blue Prime that I'm sure he would love. But, he's bringing back some old moves like the diving headbutt as you talked about. So, he's in touch with the old and the new. And I think if Ray doesn't adapt his game a little bit, everyone knows the 619. I saw you guys in the chat saying it's the best move of all time. Well, if you think El Grande Americano hasn't been studying and knows how to counter that move, I think he's been in the lab. So yeah, I agree that I can never root against Ray, and I think he is the greatest luchador of all time, but I'm a little bit worried for him.
Yeah. All right. We have a lot of matches, so let's keep this going. Moving on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
We have a tag team match here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the newer matches that was just announced. We have Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez representing the Judgment Day against Lyra Valkyria and Bayley. I think this will be a good match. I'm not the biggest fan of tag team matches, but I do. Ever since the new WWE 2K game came out, I do have a new appreciation for tag team matches. There's a whole lot more strategy that goes into this rather than just a plain one-on-one match. And I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with Judgment Day just because, they've been together for a while. They're on the same page. Like, whereas Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, they're both really good, but they just randomly teamed up out of nowhere. In fact, they were fighting each other like 2 weeks ago, and now they're a tag team. So I don't really think they're going to have that chemistry yet.
Yeah, this is a tricky one because I think Liv Morgan's definitely the one who's, she's fought Rhea Ripley before. She's fought a lot of matches at WrestleMania, but I'm still not totally sold on Raquel Rodriguez. This is the biggest match I've ever seen her in, and I don't know if she's got what it takes. As you were saying, a tag team is a very strategic match, and Liv and Raquel have a lot of chemistry. But when Raquel's in that ring, I don't know if she's got it or not. But I'm still gonna pick them. I just don't think that Bayley and Lyra Valkyria are even a real tag team. As you were saying, it's kind of thrown together last minute. I like both of them as fighters, and Bayley did beat Liv Morgan on Raw. But Lyra is still a pretty new fighter, and I don't think Bayley's got enough to carry them to the win. So I think Liv Morgan brings enough firepower to the Judgment Day team to give them the W.
One thing that you do need to keep into account, though, is that Bayley has historically done really well at WrestleMania. I mean, last year at WrestleMania, she won the women's championship against Io Sky, which was a pretty big deal. And the crowd really is always really behind Bayley. I'm not really sure why, but WrestleMania is the biggest crowd of the year. So that crowd, that energy from the crowd is like going to multiply in her favor. And, but I don't know. It's different because it's a tag team. It's more than just skill and talent. Like you have to like execute a strategy. You have to know like when to tag in your partner.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to do if you've never really fought with that person before.
Mm-hmm. Well, we do know that Bailey is Bang Bang Niner Gang, and we've compared Lyra Valkyria quite a few times to Brock Purdy, the 49ers quarterback. So, there's a little bit of chemistry right there. But you're right,
You know what? I didn't really. Now that you say that, I'm gonna switch my pick to the Niner Gang team.
To Bang Bang Niner Gang.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick, I think. I think they've been working behind the scenes to develop a strategy. And as you were saying, Bailey knows how to win at WrestleMania. So it's definitely possible. But I still got to go with Liv Morgan. I don't know if Dirty Dom's going to show up or if he's going to be too busy worrying about his own match because he's got a pretty big one. But
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
Well, I know I was just saying that, since they were just fighting each other, they might not have the best chemistry, but that actually might kind of improve their chances since they already were just fighting each other. They already know each other's moves and like how that works. I don't think Liv and Raquel have ever fought each other. So, I do think they might have more chemistry than the Judgment Day. So yeah, I'm definitely doubling down on my pick for the Niner team, Niner Gang.
Yeah, that is a good point. Sometimes the best way to learn an opponent's or your teammates' moves is to wrestle against them. So I think it'll be a good match. I'm actually excited for this one, which is surprising because a lot of the women's tag team matches are not that great. But this is going to be a good one, I feel.
All right, let's go into the next one. We got a lot of matches to cover. This one, we got the War Raiders versus the New Day. This one I'm a little confused about because people seem to forget that just a couple months ago these guys were Vikings, and now all of a sudden they're talking normally. It's weird. It's almost like I don't know what is going on with these guys, but why aren't they Vikings anymore? Why are they just all of a sudden normal?
Yeah, I wish I could tell you. I wish I had an answer for you. Maybe Vikings got copyrighted by the Minnesota Vikings and they had to change their name. Little Dog Brown is so cute, make me cry like that. I'm not sure if that's a lyric, if Jay Balvian has a little brown dog, or what you're talking about. I did get a new dog a couple weeks ago. She's not brown, and I don't think you know her, Isaac. But, yeah, yeah, I'm not sure exactly what to make of it. DRW 15th.
I do like your profile photo though, Roman Reigns.
I was gonna say you're ready for WrestleMania.
Yeah, so I mean this match is just confusing for me, but I'm gonna go with the New Day just because people don't really like them right now, but that doesn't take away from the fact that they're one of the greatest tag teams of all time. And the War Raiders, they just seem kind of confused. I mean, obviously they're big dudes and they're good at brawling it out, but I'm just kind of confused about their backstory. And do you think they were even really Vikings in the first place?
Yeah, they're either faking it now or they were faking it then. And I feel maybe they were pretending to be Vikings just to get into the WWE because if I'm hiring new wrestlers and I see two actual Vikings that want to fight, I'm giving them a chance. So if they were faking being Vikings, I guess smart for them for using that to get into WWE. But now I don't know if that's the case or if now they're scared to show their true identity, which I think would be lame.
Yeah.
So I hope they are not actual Vikings, and they're scared to show that they're Vikings. But I'm going to root for them at WrestleMania because I still haven't forgiven the New Day for being mean to Big E. And, you know, these War Raiders are big dudes. And as you talked about, in a tag team, you got to be able to kind of take out both guys at once. And I don't know if the New Day's got it in them to take out both of these former Vikings. I guess they did have beef with Karrion Kross's big men for a while. They did kind of get their butts kicked a couple times by those guys. So, that was at least preparation, I think, for fighting the War Raiders. But we'll see if they're able to pull it off or not. I got the War Raiders, though.
Okay. Do you think there's a chance Big E is going to get involved somehow?
I would love to see him back. I think, his feelings are still pretty hurt by the New Day. So he might show up and take one of them out, or he might show up and ask them to let him back in. But I don't see the New Day doing that. They seem pretty adamant that they didn't care for him anymore.
Right.
But, it's a Kevin Owens situation. But I think, obviously Big E had an actual neck injury. Kevin Owens faked it, so you feel for a guy like Big E. Yeah.
So you're picking War Raiders?
I got War Raiders on this one.
All right, I got New Day. And on the whole Viking thing, maybe I just realized it could be because of the whole, DEI thing. I know that's kind of we know, I'll just say it straight up. The WWE is, a big part of the reason this new government administration even is in power right now. I don't think Trump would have won if it wasn't for Logan Paul and Hulk Hogan's support. So, that could be a reason why, they're trying to get rid of DEI and making them not be Vikings anymore. Because, there's a lot less diversity in the WWE as compared to like 20 years ago. There used to be like little people, sumo wrestlers, all kinds of fighters. And now that's kind of, at least we still had some Vikings, which was pretty cool. But now they're acting like they're not Vikings anymore.
Yeah, I know. Well, the WWE has, 35 million followers on Instagram. And, as we saw, the current president was a former member of the WWE who would show up quite frequently. So that's a lot of votes right there, swung in his favor because of his appearance in the WWE. So, but yeah, as you were saying, I do wish that there was more diversity in the WWE. Sometimes I watched the Pat McAfee had a little wrestling show like a week or two ago, and there was a sumo match that was pretty fire. Every once in a while, I don't think it would hurt if the WWE broke out something like that. But
yeah, well, I mean, we got the luchadors, which is kind of, I guess we've kind of taken that for granted since we've had Rey Mysterio for so long, and now there's all these other luchadors. But that's kind of the most diverse WWE is right now.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, we've got like the Drew McIntyres and the Sheamuses, but those are just Europeans, nothing special about them.
Yeah, I guess, actually, this is something I wanted to bring up is that on Friday, they're bringing back the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale. So I think we could be getting, Omos. Well, actually, this is actually breaking news coming from Chokeslam Radio. We have a big announcement that Omos will return on Friday for the Andre the Giant Battle Royale. And you heard it here first. We're the only people to report that.
Yeah, we've been covering Omos for weeks now, waiting for his return. So, this is a very exciting announcement for us because, we've been following his path back to the WWE. So pretty cool that we get to announce this for all of our fans and viewers.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see who else shows up in this battle royale because I think what is it? It's 20 men in it.
I think that's right. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if we get any other returns because it's almost kind of like a mini Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I think we can move on from this one.
Yeah.
And we'd love to hear what you guys think who's going to win in the comments as well. We have a lot left. We got to start speeding through these.
Okay.
All right, we got LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu, I mean, I don't even really need to explain.
Yeah, we can kind of skim over this one. I mean, I would pick Jacob Fatu over almost anyone in the WWE. I think the only problem would be if Solo shows up and tries to screw him over, because I know they've been beefing a little bit recently. But I can't bet against Jacob Fatu, so I have to agree with you there.
Right. I mean, LA Knight, I like him. Especially seeing him live is pretty fun to do. Like
Yeah.
But as a fighter, I mean, he did beat Logan Paul, which is pretty impressive. So, he's impressive, but he's not Jacob Fatu.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. All right, I think we can move on. So now we got Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Just a year ago, they were fighting together in WrestleMania, and now they're fighting against each other in WrestleMania. And I think I'm gonna pick Naomi, just because Jade Cargill, I don't really know. It doesn't really make sense because she got beat up by Naomi and then just kind of disappeared for like 3 months or whatever. And Bianca Belair was running around thinking Naomi was like on her side or whatever. I don't know why Jade Cargill didn't just like text her or call her or something and say like, hey, Naomi's like the reason I'm injured. I guess maybe she was like in a 3-month coma or something, but I don't know. I just think she's kind of doesn't really care. She kind of probably got beat up and used that as an excuse to take a break and just kind of checked out. And she's probably just showing up now for that WrestleMania paycheck. I don't think she really, really cares that much.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna go with Jade Cargill just because, she is a beast, and she has had some time off, which I think, as you were saying, I don't know what she was doing. I don't think she was in a coma, but I think she's been prepping for this match and getting ready for this for a while. Kind of similar to the Randy Orton situation. Obviously, she's no Randy Orton, but I think she's had her eyes set on this match for a while. I think she's going to come back angry. So
we'll see about that. I know Naomi is going to be angry. So
yeah. I got Jade in this one though, I think.
All right. Well, I'm disagreeing with you on that one.
Okay.
What is it? Okay. Oh, this is one that I'm excited for. And we talked about this one a little bit earlier, but I'm going to go with my boy, Dirty Dom.
Okay. That's an interesting choice. I'm going to go Braun Breaker, I think. I think we saw he's been spearing basically everyone that crosses his path. He was hitting like double and triple spears the other night. When a guy starts breaking that out, I just don't know how you combat that. And I think unless all three of these other guys team up against him, he's gonna dominate.
Well, I mean, we know at least two of them are. Dirty
Mhm.
Dom and Finn are on the same team. So, I mean, the odds are already in their favor for it being one of them.
Mhm.
But I could see if Dom has the chance to kind of screw over Finn and get that win,
Mhm.
I think he'd do it. Because he kind of did the same thing to Rhea Ripley like a couple months ago. But I don't really think Finn would do that to Dirty Dom. Like he's too loyal. So that's why, just based on the odds, I think it's going to be Dirty Dom. I think Penta is like pretty good, but I don't know if he really has what it takes at this point. He's still kind of new to the WWE to beat any of these guys, but he
Mhm.
is still kind of a wild card.
Yeah.
No pun intended with it being in Vegas, but yeah, I think this one I think is the most unpredictable match of WrestleMania this year.
Yeah. Yeah. I do agree that I think Dirty Dom's only real alliance is to Liv Morgan right now. So I think
Mhm.
I could see him switching up on Finn. I don't know the rules of this match either, but as we talked about, Penta's got his brother who's going to be at WrestleMania probably, but doesn't have a match. So we could see
Mhm.
him come out. And I know that Braun Breaker has been targeting Carlito a lot. He was also not in the match,
Oh
but
yeah.
will probably show up. So, I think this is, I agree, a wild card match that anything could happen. And, it might, I could see Dirty Dom coming away with it, but I can't bet against Braun Breaker, and that's what I'm sticking with.
Yeah. Well, Finn Balor's like most loyal sort of follower in Judgment Day was JD McDonough, who he's been out injured.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, maybe he'll make a surprise return since it's WrestleMania and you kind of got to give it your all.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't show up, I mean, I think Dom is going to win this just based on like the odds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I could see that happening. And I think yeah, Dominic Mysterio is the betting favorite to win this one right now, according to Vegas.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
What about who's like second favorite based on the
This is
odds?
Dirty Dom's favorite, and then Penta, and then
Hmm.
Braun Breaker is third, and Finn Balor is last.
Interesting. I would think it would be Dirty Dom, then Finn Balor, then Penta, then Braun Breaker, just because, um, Penta's brother might show up, and Braun doesn't really have any allies in the WWE.
Yeah, that is true. I think Braun's a bit of a trap pick because you get pretty good odds betting on him, but and I picked him because he's exciting to watch every week. But at WrestleMania, you're pulling out all your cards, and I think all these other guys have allies and teammates backstage that are going to come out and fight for them. So
Mhm.
we might.
Another thing is that since Dirty Dom and Finn Balor are on the same team, and this is a fatal four-way, basically, if Dom pinned Finn or Finn pinned Dom, they could
Mhm.
just like purposely not kick out at 3, so then one of them can win. If like the other two guys are distracted,
Yeah.
so they're definitely gonna have to. Even though I know Braun and Penta are not best friends, they're
Mhm.
definitely have to like have a talk before this and be like, hey, make sure we keep these two guys separated, or it could be over pretty quickly.
Yeah, there is a bit of a tag team dynamic here, because obviously they are teammates and they've worked together a lot. So, um, these are one of those matches where, yeah, you're going to have to, make sure that all three guys are either distracted or knocked down before you get the pin. But if you've got a teammate in there to help you out, it changes things a lot.
Mhm. All right. I think we can move on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Next, we still have 6 more to go over. So,
Okay.
all right, we got Logan Paul versus AJ Styles. I feel like Logan Paul is gonna win.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, AJ Styles was really good 15 years ago, but he's kind of washed now.
Yeah.
Logan Paul is, in his prime. So,
Yeah.
and he's
Literally.
got that new finisher. I mean, and he always brings his all during WrestleMania. Last year he pulled up in the prime tank with
Mhm.
iShow speed. The year before that he showed up with KSI. So maybe he'll show up this year with Mr. Beast or the Costco guys or something.
Hmm.
We know that those guys can fight. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here.
Yeah. I know Prime's been signing a lot of athletes recently. And yeah, Logan always has something up his sleeve. He knows how to turn it on when it matters the most. And AJ Styles has been, doing his weird thing with Karrion Kross, seems a little bit distracted. So I don't want to say this is the easiest pick of WrestleMania because none of them are easy. But if I had $1,000 to bet on WrestleMania, I think I would bet a lot of it on Logan in this fight.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, yeah. I'm definitely gonna bet all my money on Logan for this one.
Mm-hmm. And Logan is a pretty heavy favorite in this one. Like you'll make a pretty
Yeah.
decent money if you bet on AJ Styles and he wins. But that's how it goes sometimes. Some of these
Right.
matches can be a little lopsided.
Right. All right. Next we have a big one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Roman Reigns is definitely gonna win this. I'm not really. I don't really think that's CM Punk is an old man. Seth Rollins is kind of just there once again. The real beef here was between Roman and CM Punk, and then Seth Rollins somehow kind of just added himself to the match. Somehow, I don't really know how has anything to do with this. Kind of like last year, how he was part of that tag team match with Cody and Roman and The Rock. Like Seth Rollins didn't really have any reason to be a part of that.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how he keeps doing it, but good for him being, getting to participate and get the spotlight on him, but nobody's really there to see him.
I know. I think he has this issue a little bit where he always wants to be like in the biggest matches. He calls himself like what does he call it? Monday Night Rollins and all this stuff.
Yeah.
No one even believes that anymore. He kind of just shows up with his music and his crazy outfits. But yeah, I think the biggest thing was the wise man in all of this, and Roman was smart, and he realized the wise man wasn't really fully in with him, and he made sure to cut that off before WrestleMania instead of letting the wise man come out with him and then somehow switch and help up CM Punk at WrestleMania when Roman expected him to help him out. So Roman was smart there. He saw that the wise man was not fully on his side, and last night at Raw turned on him. So
yeah,
we know that the wise man is now with CM Punk, which is fine. Those are two old men together. So I do.
One guy is too skinny and one guy is too big.
Exactly. I think it should be a pretty clear victory for Roman here. He's fought a lot bigger people at WrestleMania. He's beat The Undertaker,
Yeah.
I don't think he's too worried about CM Punk or Seth Rollins. But the wise man always has something up his sleeve. I just don't know like Roman's worked with him for so long, he probably knows most of his tricks. And I don't think it's going to be enough to trick Roman. And, I don't think CM Punk's got what it takes to beat Roman and Seth Rollins.
Yeah. Something about CM Punk, he was on the Pat McAfee show a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about how in high school he wanted to try to play football. So he went out to, the football practice, and people on the team made fun of him because he had dyed hair. So he quit immediately. And that just kind of shows me the kind of person he is, not because he has dyed hair. I mean, it is a little weird, but it's not, there's if you've seen Cobra Kai, Hawk, he's one of the coolest guys in the show. He always has his hair dyed, and it's awesome. So the fact that he can, just easily give up and not use that as motivation to beat them and just kind of complain about it his whole life. Because, why would you bring that up in an interview? Like when how old is he? Like 50? He's still talking about that nowadays.
Yeah.
It just kind of shows how he's like a baby and just whines and complains about everything and then quits when it gets hard. Instead of, if it's something that you really care about, you got to like dig in and fight for that. It just kind of shows me the kind of person he is. I don't have any respect for him. And I don't think he has any business being in the same ring as Roman Reigns.
Yeah, well, he's, we know him as one of the guys who's always the first one to grab a mic and like sit in the middle of the ring, crisscross applesauce, and talk smack. But, I guess if someone makes fun of his hair, one of his teammates makes fun of his hair, he's going to give up and quit on his team and, can't take some, not even criticism, because a lot of times you make fun of your teammates when you're buddies with them.
Yeah.
So, I just don't think he gets it. And what happens if, Paul Heyman tries to give him some constructive criticism? Is he going to walk out on Paul Heyman and quit if he doesn't like the advice?
Probably.
But yeah, that's not someone I'm putting my money on.
Yeah. Well, he did WWE a while back and he quit that when things weren't going his way. So he did UFC. He quit that because things weren't going his way. So then he did AEW, and then he quit that, and now he's back at WWE. And even he says that he's just there for the money. Yeah. So I don't know. This guy, I don't know why people like him so much. I genuinely don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it either. I think a lot of people liked his wife, AJ Lee, and they're all just somehow hoping that if he stays in the WWE long enough, she'll come back. But yeah, he doesn't really. I think a lot of people will see in this match at WrestleMania, the real CM Punk when he gets destroyed by Roman. So
the other thing I'm confused about is Seth Rollins. I think this wasn't last night, but this was like a week ago or maybe on Friday. Seth Rollins, like at the very end of the show, right before it went off, he told Paul Heyman, like, now you owe me a favor. And it made absolutely zero sense. Like, why does he owe you a favor? That makes zero sense at all.
I know. I saw that too. And I don't know if Seth Rollins was just like trying to sound cool, but yeah, it made zero sense. And I don't know why Paul Heyman would owe Seth Rollins a favor for anything. So
yeah, well, we're gonna get our analysts to look into that more and try to figure that out. But based on what we saw, what camera angles were available on TV, it didn't really. I couldn't come to a conclusion.
No, I won't be expecting any favors from Paul Heyman to Seth Rollins at WrestleMania.
All right, I think. So are we both picking Roman for this?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I think Roman is kind of above this match. Like he should be fighting The Rock or Cody or it just doesn't really I don't know. You can tell Roman doesn't really want to be in this match either, but he just kind of is going with it because he's such a great guy. He knows that if he doesn't have a match at WrestleMania, like they're gonna sell a lot less tickets.
Yeah. And he somehow is involved with the final boss a little bit too. I don't know if he personally will show up in that match or not, but he doesn't have anything planned for Sunday yet, but we know he's going to be there. So we'll see, see if anything happens.
All right. Well, next up we have another triple threat match. This is another one I'm confused about, but even more confused because, I like Rhea Ripley, but usually if you want to like insert yourself into a title match, you have to win the Money in the Bank and then cash in. And it's like it's like a big deal in WWE, but all of a sudden, just because she's mommy, she gets to put herself in this match. I don't understand that. I think it's just Adam Pearce playing favorites. Probably has a bit of a crush on mommy.
Yeah, this is a weird one. I think it is partly just to sell tickets because a lot of people want to see Rhea Ripley fight. But yeah, this match doesn't really make sense to me either. I might have to go Bianca Belair on this one. Honestly, I just watched a clip of her whipping IShowSpeed with her hair recently. So she's bringing that move into her arsenal more and more, and I think that's an advantage that she has that the other fighters don't necessarily. You can't really counter that, and they can't bring in weapons. So she has an extra weapon in her hair that I don't think the other fighters can really combat. So I'm gonna go Bianca Belair in this one.
I'm going with Bianca too. I mean, she's always done great at WrestleMania, and even in the Elimination Chamber, she was going absolute ham on everybody. She was, obviously the best woman in that match against, a pretty stacked Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
So I'm going with Bianca too on this one. And I would be interested to hear what the odds are on this.
Let me check them out real quick. It's always hard to bet against Rhea Ripley, but
yeah, well, Rhea is not the same without Dirty Dom. She did kind of. I don't know. I don't really know what's going on with. Same with Damian Priest. Her and Damian Priest seem kind of lost now since they got kicked out of the Judgment Day, and they're like, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like they're kind of acting like they kind of have a crush on each other. Like, they give each other hugs and stuff a lot, but then they don't actually it's just kind of like an awkward like relationship between those two, but they're really the only people who they're friends with in the WWE because they were such menaces to everybody in Judgment Day.
Yeah.
And now they don't even like them. So I don't know. They both just kind of seem like outcasts right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They both just seem confused.
Yeah. Bianca Belair is the favorite by like a little bit, and then it's Io Sky, and then Rhea Ripley is last place. So I wouldn't mind sprinkling a little bit of money on Rhea Ripley just because, she when she does fight and she's into it, she's pretty hard to beat. But even Vegas is thinking she doesn't really have a chance.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident with Bianca on this one, but it is a triple threat, so there's a lot up in the air with this. But I'm pretty confident that Bianca is going to get the job done here.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next, we have. Oh, here's a big one. We have Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. This one is pretty interesting. I don't even really know. I would say Tiffany Stratton just because Charlotte Flair I know she's like a legend or whatever, but she kind of just seems rattled and maybe is like on drugs or something. She kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, she's been acting pretty crazy lately, and like even for WWE, like she's kind of all over the place. And like, I think Wade Barrett even had to step in last week and was like, you got to chill out a little bit or you're going to get fired, So she's definitely out of control. I know she was gone for a while. So yeah, maybe she's like recovering from a drug addiction or some alcohol problems or something. But yeah, I mean, she's done a lot of like crazy attacks on Tiffy Time all outside of the ring, like in the parking lot and stuff like that. So I think when they finally get in the ring, Tiffy Time's going to take her down.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, it's not really the best mindset to be in going into WrestleMania, like the biggest night of the year, and you're just kind of all over the place, out of control.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be a good match, but I'm going to go with Tiffany Stratton on this one.
Yeah, I think so too. This one at least had like a pretty good build up and they seemed like actually kind of pissed off at each other. So something crazy might happen, but I'm also going Tiffy Time.
All right. Next up, we have Jey Uso versus Gunther.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I really want to say Jey Uso, but I mean, Gunther's already beat him like 3 times, I think. And none of them were that close. Jay said that he's crashing out, but he's also locked in. So maybe he's, gonna figure it out this time. But just based on their history, I gotta go with Gunther. But also, the Chiefs lost in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
This, just because they're dominant and they won in the past doesn't mean that they're gonna keep winning,
Yeah. I think Gunther sometimes, falls apart on the big stage. We saw him lose to Sami Zayn at WrestleMania, and I don't think anyone thought Sami was going to win. But, his problem is he only has, so many moves, and he kind of bets on the other person just getting worn out. But, I think with the WrestleMania crowd and everything that Gunther did to Jimmy, Jay's going to be fired up as all heck. And I think I'm going to have to take Jay in this one. I want to see Gunther fall. And yeah, as I was saying, he's kind of fallen apart at the biggest stage before.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you've convinced me too. I'm going to go with Jay because Gunther lost it last year at WrestleMania. And he also kind of seems cocky and overconfident this time too. So I think we might see a repeat of what happened. And, Sami Zayn didn't even really want to win that match that much last year. Whereas Jay, he's fighting for everything now. Like, how important family is for those bloodline guys. And for Gunther to, assault his brother like that in front of the world, that's probably the worst thing you could do to a Samoan.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's right. That bloodline runs deep. And I don't know if Jimmy's going to come back to support Jay or if he's just going to be there in spirit. But, even the bloodline spirit is pretty strong. So,
and I think also the fact that The Rock is probably going to be there. And we've seen him kind of get involved with other matches in the past too.
Yeah.
Because, Jimmy Uso is part of The Rock's bloodline also. So I'm sure he knows what happened and he's probably pissed as hell at Gunther right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this will be a good match though. But I do think that with the crowd behind Jay and everything else that's been going on, I think he's going to be fired up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know that Las Vegas is going to be going crazy when he hits that entrance. Everyone's going to be eating.
I know I'm gonna eat everywhere when I see it. So
Yeah. All right. Finally, finally, we got the last one, the main event. Cody Rhodes versus John Cena.
yep.
This one is kind of like a clash of, titans.
Yeah. This one is they're kind of making it like Jesus versus the devil almost. They're trying to make John Cena seem like this bad evil guy, and Cody's kind of like they call him the American hero, the American nightmare. But I just think with all that John's got behind him with The Rock and Travis Scott being there, I don't really know if anyone's in Cody's corner. Last time when he fought at WrestleMania, it was different because everyone wanted to see him finish his story. But now, he doesn't have a ton of friends backing him. I don't know if the Undertaker's showing up in his corner this time. It's going to be an uphill battle for him, and I think I'm going to have to go with John on this one.
So when I met Cody Rhodes a couple months ago in that liquor store, I went into it thinking like, oh, I'm like way bigger than him. Oh, like, he's just Cody Rhodes or whatever. But then, when you're actually there in his presence and you feel, like his aura, and then you remember like, oh shit, this guy beat Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And he has like a look in his eye, like, he's Mr. Nice Guy, signing everybody's stuff, being that guy to represent the company, like being a good dude, as we like to say.
Yep.
Cody's like pretty much the definition of a good dude.
Okay.
But when you look at him in his eyes, he wants to kill. He's got a killer, kind of like all the greatest, warriors in our world's history. He's got that energy in him, which people don't realize because, of him being such a good dude. They just see that side of him. But, people seem to forget this guy beat Roman Reigns. Like, also, John Cena is kind of, I think this is going to be a little bit like the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight where they were trying to make Mike Tyson seem like he still has it and he's not just like this old man now. Like, are we forgetting that the last match that John Cena was in, he got destroyed by Solo Sikoa? Like, not even close. Like, Solo absolutely destroyed him. The last time John Cena fought in WrestleMania, he got destroyed by Austin Theory, who just, Jey Uso just wiped the floor with him. Jey Uso is supposed to be the underdog. He just destroyed the guy who beat John Cena in WrestleMania, and that was 2 years ago. John Cena is even older now. So I think, unless The Rock steps in and does a bunch of BS, this is going to be Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson all over again.
Yeah. That is a very good point that you bring up. I think it did take a lot of balls from Cody to turn down The Rock's offer to sell his soul. Knowing all the power that The Rock has, and it does show a lot about Cody. I'll give him that, but I think The Rock is pretty pissed off, and I think it's not just a match of Cody versus John Cena. John Cena may be Mike Tyson, but he's got The Rock in his corner, and I don't know what kind of dark magic The Rock is working up, but it seems like he's been planning this for over a year. So I think I would be shocked if he doesn't have something planned that's going to make it very hard for Cody to win. But
right,
I guess if anyone can do it, Cody did take down Roman when no one else could. So he's also probably got something up his sleeve. He knows The Rock is cooking.
Yeah. What up, Steven? He says, my favorite time of the year is Mania time.
Hell yeah.
Same with us. You know, it's kind of hard to believe that it's already WrestleMania week, but, you know. And like I was saying earlier, it's easy to get caught up in, like, who's going to win this wrestling match, but you have to realize that this match is, you know, a lot more than just wrestling, you know.
Mhm.
John Cena already has it all. He already is a famous Hollywood actor. Why would he have needed to sell his soul to The Rock?
Mm.
Why, you know, why would The Rock need to be involved? Why would Travis Scott specifically need to be involved?
Mm-hmm.
There's something else. You know, John Cena's kind of trying to distract everyone, make people think this is about wrestling, and this is not about wrestling. This is going to be some dark event, I think.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. The trio of John Cena, The Rock, and Travis Scott was not something I saw coming. And as we've talked about ever since that event, you know, there's something dark going on, and we don't even know how much we can really say without putting a target on our backs. But I'm excited for this match, but I'm also terrified for this match because, you know, we don't fully even know and understand what's going on, but we do know that it is a lot deeper than a wrestling match, and that's why it's the last match on Sunday. You know, they're waiting for the end because they know some shit is going to go down.
Right. Steven makes a good point. This match is a history maker, no matter what. Even if it's a bad match, this is still a history maker because if Cena wins this, then that means he's won the title 17 times, which means he would beat Ric Flair's record. And I believe Ric Flair is confirmed he's going to be at this match. So it'll be interesting to see if he tries to get involved. We know he's pretty old, but John Cena is pretty old too.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Cody is also trying to continue his story. His story is not over just because he beat Roman.
Yeah. We will see for sure. I don't know if Ric Flair's got any magic up his sleeve to keep his record intact. You know, maybe somehow the match with his daughter Charlotte Flair, he's, you know, cooking something up. Maybe that's why Charlotte Flair's crashing out so much because you know, all of these things are connected. But you know, as we've been saying, there's a lot to this match beyond what we see in the ring, and I think a lot of eyes will be opened on Sunday.
Right. Yeah. What's up, Logo Man 1987? Bro, we need Thugonomics John back when he wins his 17th title. I mean, I don't think he's gonna win, but if he does, you know, I think it would be pretty cool to see him, you know, go back to his hip hop roots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will say Cody has cooked him a little bit in the ring. A lot of other guys, you know, couldn't stand up to John Cena when they were getting on the mics, but Cody's done okay for himself. So yeah, it's going to be a good match, and John's getting up there in age. You know, he did do Royal Rumble and he did do Elimination Chamber, but
right. Well, I don't want to cut you off, but I do. One of our researchers sent us a video of what The Rock's been up to because we kind of haven't heard of him since Elimination Chamber, but we do have a video of The Rock from just like within the last week that I think we should probably watch.
okay.
Go.
That's interesting. I couldn't tell if there was any demonic symbolism in there, but at the very least,
I'm analyzing it. There's a guitar. What is that on the mantle?
I can't tell. It might be a voodoo doll or a Theragun.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe some sort of psychic weaponry. I don't really know. But it is interesting how, last year around this time, he was showing up to pretty much every WWE show, just absolutely terrorizing Cody Rhodes.
Mm-hmm.
And now this year, he's kind of just like dancing around.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's playing mind games or what, but they're saying we have another video of The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this will tell us more. Okay, here it is.
Wow. Do you have to press that hard?
Yes. It's a part of makeup.
Wow.
Oh, Daddy, you look
Okay.
so Where's the
Do I
tutu?
look cool?
Here's a tutu, everybody.
You
Stand
promised
up.
me that I was going to
Stand
look
up.
cool. Do I look
Yes.
cool?
Yes. Stand up.
Do I look cool?
Yes. Stand up. Yes.
Do I need anything else?
Yes. Yes. You need tutu.
I need a tutu.
Yes.
I also need my dignity.
Stand up.
Okay.
Stand up so you can get your dignity.
That looks like a guy who's not worried about WrestleMania one bit.
Yeah, it kind of seems like his mind is off of what's happening, or maybe he knows that something big is going to happen. So he's trying to spend as much family time, quality time with his kids before, he kind of unmasks himself and reveals himself to be the monster he really is.
Yeah, that was interesting that he's getting all dressed up and like disguising himself. It's almost like, as we were saying, he's getting prepared to show his true colors and who he really is.
Yeah, well, we know that Cody Rhodes also used to paint his face like that and call himself Stardust. So maybe he was trying to, sort of channel that energy to, mock Cody Rhodes, or I don't really know.
Yeah, that was like bleached blonde hair that he had on that wig, and then the pigtails were like red and blue, and those are kind of Cody's colors, So that definitely could have been a jab at Cody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is kind of interesting. You kind of forget that Cody went through that phase of his life. I think it was a couple years where he thought he was like an alien or something. I don't.
Yeah. Maybe that's why they thought it would be easy to get him to sell his soul, because he seemed like he didn't even really know who he was. Maybe he had already sold his soul. Maybe he doesn't even have his soul anymore, because that was a very interesting period in his life that, didn't just last for like a couple of weeks or a couple of months. Like there was a few years where he was an alien, basically.
Mm-hmm. And his brother Gold Dust was kind of like that too. So maybe, if I had an older brother who was like my only sibling and he dressed up like painted himself gold and wore a wig every day, I probably, I might be influenced to do that as well. But I'll never know.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we haven't really heard much from Gold Dust since then. So, maybe that's a phone call that The Rock is making.
Well, The Rock and Gold Dust used to kind of have beef. I know there was a video of, Gold Dust mocking The Rock, trying to be like The Rock. So now that kind of makes more sense that The Rock is kind of mocking them now.
Yeah. I don't know if this is the time that Gold Dust comes back. It is interesting that we don't even really know who he was. outside of the costume. You know, obviously Cody made a career for himself, but we never really heard again from Goldust. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, I believe Goldust was originally, I don't think this was in WWE, but one of the competitor companies where Goldust was going by the American Nightmare before Cody was. And then Cody kind of, with his permission, started going by that also. And then he kind of blew up.
Wow.
So I wonder if his brother's a little jealous about that.
Yeah, I would be. I mean, Goldust was kind of the bigger star than Cody was when they were that tag team, and then Cody since left and returned to the WWE and now is the champion. So if I were Goldust, I would be a little pissed off. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that's right. He went by the natural Dustin Rhodes in WCW, which eventually got bought out by WWE. But that's probably in that Netflix archive, which it's so great that we have access to all that now, because I'm sure there's people like The Rock who are trying to, you know, get rid of this, you know, info. I know The Rock has a lot of, you know, bad moments that he probably doesn't want people to see back in that WWE archive, but for now it's still accessible to the public.
Yeah, I think they just bank on the fact that there's so much there that, you know, maybe some of it gets lost, but, you know, as it's kind of our job to expose that stuff and bring that into the public eye now that it's available for everyone.
All right, well, I don't know how many videos we want to do. We've already been streaming for a while, but I've got another video here that I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Home a 280-pound
She
chick.
took me home. I didn't take her home.
Were you attracted to her?
Absolutely, and the experience was great.
She have a nice face?
She had a nice smile.
Why did you do that? I don't understand.
Well, first it was kind of a challenge set out to me by the entire roster, and it was like it was a thing where you won't do it. Okay, I'll do it, but it wasn't like
she approached you and said,
I'll do
"Listen,
it.
would you come back with me?"
There was just like a moment. I'm pretty polite and respectable to everybody, so there was that moment, and then she walks away, and then the boys start getting on. Yeah, you won't do it, and it wasn't like, okay, I'll do it. Tail between my legs, going over there. I said, not only will I do it, I'll enjoy it, and I did. It was a great night.
And what was great about when a 280-pound girl takes her clothes off? That's a shocker roof.
Howard, lights on, everything good. No lights off. No, this has to be done. I'm getting out of here. Lights on. It was a great experience.
You saw the fat. You saw it jiggling.
I saw a whole lot of women.
Yeah. As we know, you know, John's okay with selling his soul and doing stuff. You know, the rest of the roster thinks he's crazy. So, you know, if he's willing to do that, I don't know what's going to happen at WrestleMania. Maybe she taught him a move or two. I know we've seen Nia Jax and Piper Niven pull out some pretty crazy moves. So, you know, everything John does is for a purpose.
Yeah, I wonder if, you know, I don't like to speculate about these kind of things, but I wonder if that was somebody on the WWE roster who he was describing. Because there's like a couple people that probably could have been. But
yeah, I can name a few.
But yeah, I don't really have much to say about that, but it is definitely a interesting peek inside the mind of John Cena.
Yeah, no doubt. It just shows a little bit more of who he is as a wrestler and as a person.
Yeah. Well, we got another interesting video here.
You and me, right now, we're having it out. Let's go. Come on. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know if that was leaked audio or not. Usually we can't hear the wrestlers too well, but that sounds pretty spot on for someone we've talked a lot about.
I I thought that was just funny. I wanted to show that to all the Ilya Dragunov nerds out there. Like we've said, I don't want to scare away any potential fans of ours who also like Ilya Dragunov, but specifically the people who are fans of this guy are the most toxic ones on the internet, who always are going after us for giving any kind of criticism about this guy. But it's okay to criticize the hell out of Logan Paul. It's okay to criticize the hell out of Roman Reigns, but you say anything bad about that guy, Ilya Dragunov, you're going to have people attacking you like crazy online.
Yeah, I'm sure people freak out about that video, and it's just like, it's a funny video, and he's a wrestler, and it's when you're wrestling on the biggest stage, it's okay for people to criticize the wrestlers and make fun of them sometimes.
Yeah.
So, I don't get why he has such a fan base that cries over everything that isn't.
Well, is he Russian? I think he's Russian, right?
Dragunov sounds either, yeah.
Well, I don't want to get into conspiracy theories, but there are a lot of bots that potentially come from that country, so it could explain why on the internet specifically there's a lot of defenders. Maybe I'm going to leave it there. I don't want to go any deeper than that before I get in trouble.
Yeah. That's another thing we don't want to dive too deeply into, but that is a very good point, that you want to look at who these fans are and where they come from, and if they're even real people or not. And sometimes it's hard to tell, especially on Twitter and Instagram and stuff, where we were getting attacked. But that's okay.
I have 2 more videos.
Okay.
Batista was a perv. In 2008, Vince McMahon put his illegitimate son Hornswoggle in a mini Royal Rumble match with only 6 wrestlers. However, it was very literal, as the participants were all mini versions of other wrestlers on the WWE roster. One of them was Mini Batista. While things on TV were fine, things backstage were not. According to Hornswoggle, Mini Batista was trying to take pictures with the female wrestlers. While Swoggle didn't share what exactly Mini Batista did, it was bad enough that he got kicked out of the arena.
Well, I think that's maybe, a little bit, I don't want to say because he's mini, but I bet if John Cena or the real Batista wanted to take pictures with some of the female wrestlers, they would have, That's a little bit sizist, I think. Just because.
Just a little.
Yeah, just a teeny bit sizes. If the Undertaker approached some of the female wrestlers and said, "Hey, could I get a picture?" I bet they would do it. But any Batista does it, now we have a little problem. So,
well, it's hard to say anything about that video because it seems like there were some pieces of the puzzle left out, or like just a little information that they didn't cover there. But I trust Hornswoggle more than most people because it just seems like a little bit more trustworthy than a lot of people I know. But yeah, I don't really know where I was going with that, but I think it is important to, at a WWE ring, you're having people from all over the world come fight there. So you have to be careful. Like, you don't really know who a lot of these guys are. Like, nowadays, pretty much everyone on WWE we've seen like every week. So they're fine most of the time. I mean, you get guys like Kevin Owens who try to break people's necks and then cry when his neck gets broken. But I don't know. I would just say that's why it's so important to have good security. And it seems like they took care of it, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the problem with like short videos like TikToks. Is you can't really get the full story.
Yeah, I think we only just got like a small, teeny amount of what happened today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't want to ruin Mini Batista's career because of one small incident.
Yeah, and Steven says people get their feelings hurt and cry. I think you guys have a right to voice your opinions. You guys rock. Thank you, Steven. And I think that we can pretty much trust that Steven's a real person and not a bot. So, it's good to hear like a opinion from a real person that, unfortunately there are haters online. And, even the haters have the right to voice their opinion too. But
yeah,
I mean, don't, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you want to comment mean stuff to us, I mean, we don't care that much.
no. Well, I think there's a difference between hating on someone because you're trying to criticize them and make them better, and hating on someone just because they have an opinion that you don't like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
We were just saying that some of Ilya Dragunov's matches weren't the most fair, and we felt bad for him at times because he was getting his ASS beat week after week by Ron Breaker, which is constructive criticism. And then I don't think it's fair for people to just get pissed off just because we said something mean about their favorite fighter.
Well, we got one more video. It's sort of like a backstage view of a conversation that happened between two superstars.
Stars and pickles? Hydration, baby. Yeah. I also like the sodium taste. Wait, so are you saying we should make pickle prime? Please. Dude, that's something. Just regular flavor for me, babe. Are you calling me babe? Oh, yeah, babe. Babe Jim. Why? Because everybody's babe. He knows he is.
Thank you to the Blown coverage for, getting that video. And, pickle's kind of an up-and-coming flavor. I've seen that in some other drinks lately as well. I think it would be cool to see. I know I would definitely drink a ton of pickle prime.
Yeah. That just shows why Otis is one of the up-and-coming wrestlers. He's drinking prime. He's coming up with ideas, and he's making his voice heard. That's the sign of a future star right there. I know that, when he was under Chad Gable, Chad would have shot that idea down pretty quick. But
yeah,
that's why Otis is doing his own thing now. And yeah, pickle prime would be a great flavor. It's got a good ring to it. And yeah, as you were saying, pickles are definitely popular right now. We're seeing pickle flavors and pickle skins in Fortnite. They're all over the place. So I think Otis is onto something, and that would be definitely one of the high flying flavors.
For sure. Oh, we do have a high flying flavor. Should we do it? Okay, yeah. Should we get into high flying flavors right now, and so we can end this episode?
Yeah.
Okay.
A good transition.
So yeah, let's get into the high flying flavors of the week. Welcome back to High Flying Flavors. This is the part of the show where I review a food, and I'm going to rank it on the cutting board of our foods that were previous High Flying Flavors. So this week we know that Bailey is going to be in WrestleMania this weekend. So in honor of Bailey, I decided to try some bay leaves.
Okay.
So yeah, I saw these in the store. I'm not really sure how to eat them, but I'm just gonna go ahead and try this out. So I think I just eat it. Is there instructions? No.
Yes. Does it say a serving size on the side? How many you're supposed to eat for one serving?
It says Badia bay leaves. And that's about it. There's not really any instructions here. So I'm not really sure how much I'm supposed to eat, but I'll just start with
What is a does a bay leaf come from a bay tree, or where does it come from?
it just says bay leaves.
Okay.
Maybe from the Bay Area.
Yeah, maybe a Bang Bang Niner Gang bay leaf.
All right, so I'm gonna try. I just have like a couple of the leaves here, and let's see how this goes.
Initial thoughts.
I need some like prime or something. No. It's weird. It kind of tastes like toothpaste.
Okay.
Like it's got like it's sour.
I don't know what kind of toothpaste you're eating, but
well, so the texture is not great. It's really dry. It's not even like I don't really know how to describe this, but I would say it kind of tastes like toothpaste, but then like sour aftertaste. And if I ever, because I have a lot of these, so
yeah.
I'm probably gonna finish them at some point, but I would probably eat it with like some prime to wash it down if I were to do it again. But yeah, I'm probably gonna have to put this on the bottom. What was the other things that I did review the Edge.
Yeah.
The
I don't
Edge. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking it up. It says bay leaves. A true bay leaf is from the Mediterranean bay laurel, but there's also a California bay leaf, an Indian bay leaf, and an Indonesian bay leaf. So I don't know.
think this is the one from the Bay Area.
You got the Bay Area bay leaf.
Yeah. It's really bad.
It says they're good with braised
yeah.
and slow cooked meats, and also soups and stews.
Okay, well, they should have put that on the instructions. Like, how was I supposed to know that?
Yeah, that's confusing because a lot of vegetables you can just eat straight. So
yeah, Steven is saying put bay leaves in gravy or soup. Well, okay, they should have said that on the freaking instructions.
Yeah, we had a little problem actually. El Unknown Grande did high flying flavors when you weren't here, and he did some tortillas, and he also was a little bit confused because he ate them straight because the instructions didn't say what to eat the tortillas with. So I think they need to start putting instructions on these foods about how to cook them. You can't go to the grocery store and look up every single food how you're supposed to eat it with certain other foods. If they don't, that should be something that's included.
Yeah, well, I know what's his name, Robert Kennedy, is working on fixing a lot of this stuff with the food industry. So we might have to send this, clippers. Make sure you clip to that and get that out to the government.
The government, yeah, the FDA.
I might have to do some kind of protest or something about that because that's freaking BS. With all the taxes I pay, you would think that you could, they would at least tell you how you're supposed to eat your food. Like, annoying.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you don't go to the store and like buy an iPhone case and then have to guess which iPhone it goes on. They tell you right on the package, this is for the iPhone 15. So I don't know why you can go out and buy bay leaves and they don't tell you, hey, put this in your soup or with your meat. You still eat them?
I was trying to swallow it, but I couldn't.
Mm.
But it's definitely a flavor. It's definitely got a lot of flavor.
That's good.
Mhm.
Was it high flying, would you say?
No, this one's definitely low on the cutting board.
Okay.
Let me bring it up. It's not up to date. I keep saying I'm gonna update it, but I don't. But where do we? Okay, yeah, there we go. This was the old version of the cutting board,
Mm-hmm.
but I would say it was probably worse than the Powerade, but just by a little bit. Powerade was horrible.
Yeah, and I don't remember. It's better than yeah. I don't remember where El Anon Grande put the tortillas, but I don't think they were too high on his list.
Well, I'm gonna have to watch the. I'm thinking about maybe making like a High Flying Flavors the movie, where I take all the high flying flavors and put them all together.
Yeah,
And that way, if I'll probably hire like a director or somebody to put it together, but
yeah.
then we can get get some info on that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what's up, Steven?
I know that Meat Sweats isn't here, but he usually comments a lot on high flying flavors. So,
yeah, maybe we could get like an AI to put together the High Flying Flavor movie or something.
Mm-hmm. That'd be good.
Steven, we do our show every week at this time on Tuesday. And if you want to stay up to date, because our schedule is not that consistent, but if you want to stay up to date, you can join our Discord server, or you can follow us on social media, or just subscribe to this YouTube channel. We always stream here, but I'm going to put the Discord link in the chat because that way you can stay up to date with our community.
Mm-hmm. And you can buy our merch. Our merch is in the store. As you can see, I've got a Chokeslam shirt on right now.
Yeah,
we might be dropping some special merch for Chokeslam Mania.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and make sure to. I don't have the links handy right now, but subscribe to us on TikTok and Instagram as well, because we put out some pretty cool clips. Our clippers put together some cool clips of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And you can share it with people who might not know about us, and sort of, it's a good way to spread the word on Chokeslam Radio.
Yeah. Yep. We're gonna have lots of clips the next couple of weeks, especially after all this comes out at WrestleMania. And we can say we told you so.
Yeah. But yeah, get ready to see Omos on Friday. And yeah, so one thing that they make a big deal about is the WWE Hall of Fame. That's going to be on Friday after SmackDown, and I don't really understand why people are so obsessed with the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool to see the old fighters and stuff, but yeah, the whole Hall of Fame thing is a little bit silly, in my opinion.
Well, it's just reported on so much online, and I'm sick of hearing about it. It's just the Hall of Fame. People don't make that big of a deal. Obviously, it is a big deal for other sports, but people don't speculate about it, and I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you the last time I watched the the NBA or NFL Hall of Fame inductions.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of know who's going to be in the Hall of Fame based on how good they were. So
yeah.
It's not
well, it is kind of cool how Rey Mysterio, for example, is in the Hall of Fame, and every time he does his entrance, they say WWE Hall of Famer Rey Mysterio, which is pretty cool. Even though a lot of those guys that he's fighting will end up being in the Hall of Fame also, but it's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of there's not really any other sports like that where a current Hall of Famer is still competing. Like that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. I don't really know how the rules for the WWE Hall of Fame work, but in other sports you have to like actually retire. So I guess that is cool. You can be inducted while you still wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
They just know you're one of the GOATs.
Yeah. It's also kind of interesting how they're putting Triple H in the Hall of Fame and they're making a big deal about it, but he's already in the Hall of Fame. So they're putting him in it again, and it's kind of funny how they're doing this like while he's the owner.
Yeah.
Or the chief content officer, whatever that means.
Mm-hmm. Didn't you say he like nominated himself or something too?
No, it was like The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels and Stephanie McMahon like surprised him. But now they advertise it like every commercial break, which I'm sure he has a say in that.
Yeah. Classic Triple H.
Yeah. Anyways, I'll probably still watch the Hall of Fame just to stay up to date. Last year's Hall of Fame was pretty entertaining because they inducted Paul Heyman, and he gave like a crazy speech, and it got me pretty fired up for Mania weekend.
Yeah, I don't know who else is up for nomination this year other than Triple H, but
yeah,
if it's part of SmackDown, I'll at least watch some of it on Friday night.
Well, they said that the Hall of Fame is starting at midnight East Coast time, like starting. So we'll see. I don't know if I'll actually watch it, but
going to be a lot of WWE starting on Friday.
Yeah. Steven says Michelle McCool is going to be in the Hall of Fame. I think I heard about that. That's the Undertaker's wife. That's pretty cool, or McCool, you could say.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty McCool of them.
Yeah. I did see that they're inducting a match into the Hall of Fame, and it's the WrestleMania match of Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I don't know if that means they're gonna be there or what, but that would be pretty cool to see those guys again because they're legends. I know Bret Hart kind of had beef with Gunther a couple months ago. So, if Bret Hart is in Vegas that weekend, he could possibly, get in Gunther's head.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. That's the good thing about having the induction right before WrestleMania is that all the stars will be there. If Undertaker's wife is getting inducted, you better bet he's gonna be there. And I'll be watching the Weather Boy this weekend because if there's any signs of thunder and lightning, there's a chance that Vegas might lose power, and when the lights come back on, the Undertaker's in the middle of the ring. So we'll see what happens. But I guess that is the one point that I do like about the inductions is all the legends are around, and you never know who's going to show up.
Mm-hmm. Well, the last time Undertaker showed up was the first Monday Night Raw on Netflix, and Rhea Ripley. He showed up for Rhea Ripley, which still don't really know why that happened, but maybe he'll show up to Rhea's match again and kind of help her with that triple threat. But I don't really see the Undertaker like interfering in a women's match like that. But who knows?
Yeah. I don't know, but we did see him. He was in his like motorcycle attire, which we hadn't seen in a while. So, maybe it was just because it was the first episode on Raw, but I don't think the Undertaker does anything randomly or just for views, So we'll see what happens. Maybe Undertaker's wife will show up for the women's match.
Yeah. I wonder what that must be like being married to the Undertaker. Probably pretty scary, or I
Yeah,
don't know. Do
I
they
don't
live
know.
in like a castle or something?
I I don't know. He probably has a pretty sick house, but yeah, it would be scary because he probably likes the lights off all the time.
Yeah, it'd probably be like that movie Nosferatu, where the girl is like in love with like a vampire. It'd probably be kind of like that.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I would imagine that they would have to make some promises for you can't just like randomly show up in the bedroom or something like that whenever the lights turn off.
Mhm.
He does have the supernatural powers. So I don't know, but whoever that lady is, she's got to be a bad MRFer if she chose to marry the dead man.
Mhm. Yeah, I hope that she's married to him by choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess we'll see her. We'll see her on Friday. I've never seen her before.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to say the least.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's kind of all I had to go over. Is there anything else that? I mean, we got a big couple days coming up, so.
Yeah, we do. We'll have to do an episode recapping Mania. I know DJ Big Unknown mentioned maybe doing a pre-show this weekend, but we're going to be gearing up for the event, so I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But it's great to have you back. I know you were out for a little while, but you were drinking some Prime, and we had El Grande Unknown in your place. Seemed like he was more of a tequila guy, but you're Mr. Prime Machine. So good to have you back, and excited for WrestleMania this weekend.
Yeah, and I saw during the show, El Unknown Grande was like sending me messages or something. I didn't really take a look at it, but I'll try to get in touch with him and figure out what this dude's deal is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he's probably watching the show right now. So
yeah, no doubt. It's good to have special guests occasionally, but I don't think he'll make an appearance without you again anytime.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching, and have a great WrestleMania weekend. I guess it's already Wednesday for me, so now we're only 2 days away from SmackDown before Mania. So super excited for that, and I'm counting down the minutes till this thing starts.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big one, and I think every match is good, and the grand finale Sunday night is gonna be something crazy. So
yeah, I'm actually really literally we went over all the matches. They all look good. Last year there were some really good matches and some really bad matches. So yeah, I think there aren't really any bathroom break matches this year, which is nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Figuring it out. Yeah. We'll see you guys. We'll see you guys in a week. Might be an even crazier episode next week, depending on what happens.
Right. And hopefully, we're all still here to do an episode.
That's true. Yeah. A lot can happen in a week. So I hope this isn't goodbye, but
right. All right. And with that, thanks for watching, everyone. And we'll see you in Post-Mania.
Thank you for joining us on this bone-chilling journey through the world of WWE. Join us next time on your favorite podcast app, or live Tuesday nights on YouTube, Instagram, and X. As the final bell tolls, remember to stay tuned for more spine-tingling tales from the crypt. Chokeslam that button and subscribe. Check out srotu.org, NTRW15 on YouTube, or else. Until next time, may the power of the dead man be with you. Rest in peace.